So yesterday, Black Lives Matter held another rally, another protest for another unarmed black dude who was shot by another cop. And I really don't understand the whole thing. I mean, honestly, it's not... You know what? I guess maybe people are taking the wrong approach. I really don't know. So what I was thinking was maybe let's try to take race out of the whole thing. Because from what I can tell, whenever you put race into it, you piss white people off, they reflexively side with the police, and then you basically, shot yourself in the foot. You can't get your message across because everybody's retreated into their camp. So I'm going to make an appeal to a different type of person. Rather than making an appeal to race, I'm just going to make an appeal to logic, to rule of law, to the Constitution, all of that. So I'm going to put it like this. The facts of this case are basically that the police said they heard that somebody was breaking into cars along the street. They went looking for the dude. They saw this guy in the front yard. He ran. They chased him around to his backyard. He had something in his hand. They thought it was, the story changed a few times. First, they said they thought it was a crowbar. They figured that might be what he was using to smash windows. Second, they said they thought it was a toolbar, which I assume they made up because that's not a thing. And then third, they said they thought it was a gun. So you can see the body cam footage. One of the cops yells gun. They light the dude up 20 times. Then they ask him if he's okay. And he's obviously not, because they just shot his ass 20 times. So I'm going to back up. Let's say the dude was holding a crowbar or a toolbar, and he was in fact the person smashing the windows on the cars. Well, what's the justification for shooting him? The cops said that they felt threatened, that he seemed to make a move towards them, and I guess they thought he was holding a crowbar. And I don't really see where that's justification to shoot somebody, because if you have a gun and they have a crowbar, they have to get awfully close to you to use it. You have a lot of opportunity to see what they actually have in their hand before you open fire. I'll give them the benefit of maybe if he was running towards them, or if he was really close, okay, light him up. But as far as he was away from them, there's really not a justification to shoot him, in my opinion. But then again, I don't know where that story even came from, because no cop on the body cam footage even yelled crowbar. They just yelled gun and lit him up. Oh, by the way, once he was dead, they found out that the only thing he was holding was a cell phone. Whatever. But let's say he was holding a crowbar. He was the person breaking the windows, breaking into the cars. Where is the justification for shooting him? Last time I checked, breaking into cars was not a capital offense. It's not punishable by death. So even if you find this guy, even if you saw him break the window of the car, even if you knew he had a crowbar, even if you told him to stop and he walked towards you with the crowbar and you saw him committing the crime, so you knew he was guilty and he had a weapon in his hand, where's the justification for shooting him? He didn't attack them. He wasn't close enough to attack them. They had guns. No one pulled a taser. If somebody's running at you with a crowbar, you pull a taser. You zap him, he goes down. That's all you need to do. So basically, they shot this dude on suspicion of committing a crime which is not punishable by death. That doesn't make sense to me, and I guess it might make sense to some of you, but in this country, according to these laws, you're innocent until proven guilty. So given the fact that they did not see him actually smashing the windows, he's innocent of that crime. So now what are you left with? You have an innocent man who was shot to death for having something in his hand. No one knew what that something was at the time that they shot him. And they, in fact, had no reason to detain him at all. They had no reason to have their guns out at all, because he had not committed any crime. And even if he was suspected of breaking out windows and trying to break into cars, that's not punishable by death anyway. So what the hell were they doing chasing him around the house in the first place? And you know what? I'll back up again. What if he had a gun? What if he did have a gun when they chased him around to the back of the house? He's on his property with his gun. And it's his Second Amendment right to own a gun. It's his Second Amendment right to have a gun on his property. And I'll go so far as to say, if somebody chases you from one side of your property to the other, you're justified in pulling a gun on them, especially if they have guns out on you. So the only people who committed a crime in this case are the police, who tried to detain this dude for no reason, pulled guns on him for no reason, and then shot him for no reason. Everything he did was legal and justified, assuming he did it, but he didn't do it, and that's the messed up thing, because he would have been justified if he had a gun. I can't say this enough. He would have been justified if he had the gun, because it's on his property. He can have a gun. That's the Second Amendment. Says we can keep and bear arms. So if he were in possession of a firearm, he was in legal possession of a firearm on his property. People trespassed onto his property and threatened his life by pointing guns at him. He would have been justified in shooting them, but there's no scenario where they're justified in shooting him. And I don't care if he's white. I don't care if he's black. I don't care if he's Chinese. I don't care if he's a Zeta Reticulan. It's his property. The Second Amendment says he can have a gun. He didn't commit any crimes. So why are they justified in shooting him? Is there any justification for it? Somebody give me a justification. Somebody tell me how this is anything more than an extrajudicial killing. This is just a murder. It's just a murder. Plain and simple. There's no other way to go. There's no other way to process this information. It was just a murder. And something needs to be done about this, because it's not about race. You don't have to have race in this conversation. This is a murder. This is the government murdering a citizen. Y'all were just arguing about the Second Amendment a couple weeks ago. This is why there's the Second Amendment, because the government feels like they have the right to come onto your property for no reason, pull their guns on you, and if you even look like you have something in your hand, they light you up 20 times. That's the world you want to live in, and now y'all want to take guns away from people? You want this happening more? I get that y'all don't care because it's a black dude, but it's only a matter of time before it's not a black dude, before it's a white dude, before it's an Asian dude, before it's a Mexican, before it's anything else. You can't just let this kind of stuff happen. It's not about race. It's about being an American. You can't just let this stuff happen. Somebody needs to say something, not just Black Lives Matter. All of y'all who walked around with the All Lives Matter shirts on, all of y'all who support the Second Amendment, all the Clive and Bundys out there, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, even the little kids from Florida who were talking about how they don't like that people are getting shot. Okay, well, this dude got shot. 2 armed thugs came onto his property and executed him. Everybody should be marching, not Black Lives Matter. This ain't a race thing. This is an American thing, and everybody should be marching and everybody should be mad. So if you're not mad, tell me why. Explain to me why you're not mad.